Hello and welcome to the Sac Off podcast. We are back once again. Last week we were going to do an episode, but things got mixed up. So it's all good now. We are back. And we are going to talk about the Sacramento Kings, who, once again, they provide us plenty to talk about, whether it's Boogie Cousins getting ejected or George Karl or Marco Bellinelli or all the crazy shit that happens with the Sacramento Kings. And as always, joining us and me in the pain and misery and the fun is my good friend Oscar Hazel. Oscar, how are you doing today?
You keep saying this is misery. This is the best the Kings have been in a while. Well, we're like 1.5 games out of the 8th seed. This is great. This is a good year.
Yeah, but our standards are pretty low.
That's the kind of the funny thing is like, the Kings keep losing to bad teams because they think they're better, and then really they just need to think they're average, and then they'll probably be doing pretty well. But I don't know. It's been kind of frustrating, I guess. Has it been 6 games where they beat really good teams, lost to bad teams, and then just the Golden State Warriors game went mental?
Yeah.
And I guess that's been like this season in like a whole. I guess like the Minnesota game is like almost a perfect example of like the season like wrapped up into one thing where it's like absolutely melted in, or like went down early, climbed back up, melted the end of the second quarter, just about got back in it. But then they, like Rondo and Collison, just can't defend, and at the end of games, and they lose. And I don't know.
I mean, you're saying Rondo can't defend at the end of games. What can he do at the end of games?
Yeah, this is the problem. I mean, he can shoot wide open threes because no one's defending him, and sometimes they go in, but he doesn't really want to take that shot. I guess like George Karl's reasoning for having Rondo, or like having Rondo and Collison, has had the best decision makers, but they're both making pretty bad decisions late in games. And I guess I just like this game. I thought Ben did a pretty good job defending Wiggins, and Wiggins went off in the fourth quarter because he didn't have Ben McLemore defending him anymore. So that's kind of an issue. And I mean, Wiggins was having a good game. It's not like Ben McLemore like shut him down, but like early in the game, Gay was on him more, and that didn't really go that well. Yeah, so I just think like, although it's odd because I think Ben is normally in the right position defending, but just people make shots on him, and whether that's just because he doesn't really have great length playing against, I guess, like Wiggins, although he played this game as a 2, generally he's kind of like the size and length of a 3, so maybe to kind of feel comfortable shooting over him. And we see like guys like Kobe just rationally shoot and over him and are quite successful shooting contested shots against McLemore. So maybe it's just like once he becomes more veteranized, he won't get like abused as much maybe, or targeted as much. But I think he's been pretty good defensively, and he's actually been really good at like when they've mixed up their coverages on pick and rolls. He's been pretty good at, if they're blitzing or switching or sticking with a guy, he's pretty good in terms of like doing the right thing. It's off ball, he gets lost a little, or I think this is part of what the defense wants him to do as well, is he plays off his man a lot, and then that gives up open threes. But I mean, everyone's doing that. So that's probably a system of the defense in itself. I guess Boogie had a pretty good game. And then I guess at the end of this game, they just didn't go into the post. So that was frustrating, or at least like the last little spell once they just got up. Was there anything really from this Timberwolves game that stood out to you?
I mean, just, and it's what you mentioned, it's the whole post thing. I'm trying to pull up the quote about Karl's Carl's use of boogieing on the perimeter and how he says, it opens things up for the big men.
Yeah, Kufos is playing what, just about 20 minutes, maybe. Who else is the big so? And like Willie Colley Stein's hurt. Like AC's played once this like 6-game spell, and like Kufos is starting to like be kind of frustrating in the same way as Bellinelli, where it's like if the ball gets in his hands, it's going up.
Yeah.
Like he's not passing at all. He faked a pass in one game, and that like I got really surprised even thought to fake the pass. Marco's been doing like jumping in the air then throwing it to the other team quite a bit, like won a game. So yeah, it's been maybe that's the system just being new and trying to force stuff. And it's just odd because it's like there's no looks run for Ben McLemore. He rarely has the ball in his hands, yet there's so many plays run for Marco Bellinelli and Costa Koufos. Yep. And Ben McLemore is the best or second best 3-point shooter after Caspi, who is the greatest shooter to live. He's got to make the 3-point contest. That would be crazy because his wind up's so like weird. He would be so fun in a 3-point contest. So hopefully that happens. Yeah, Caspi is now the greatest shooter to live, I think.
Yeah.
That off the dribble one yesterday was just insane.
I'm already preparing my Caspi Hall of Fame ballot.
Well, he'll probably get it because international players get into the hall really easily.
Oh, yeah. So there we go.
So, yeah, he'll make it. It's just even being like the first Israeli, he'll probably make it just because of that.
Yes.
I mean, this game was annoying. The Kings should have won it. And then they've had a lot of chances to get in, be the 8th seed, and I think this was one of the chances, and they just blow it. I mean, Deng had a really good game, and it's like, yeah, that's not a good sign. Oh, and Shabazz Muhammad absolutely lit up Bellinelli and the 3-point guard to look. I think that was 3-point guard with Seth Curry in, and yeah, Muhammad went absolutely crazy. I guess like the good positive, like I think the biggest positive of this little spell is Collison's looked great. He wasn't hitting his shots last night, but I think he's been playing his best. And I still kind of think it's sad that he was hurt that beginning of the year, because I think the ratio of Rondo Collison those first couple of games was perfect, where Rondo was playing like 24 minutes. And now it's just like, I think Aaron Bruski says it's the best. It's like, if you have too much Rondo, just everything tastes like Rondo. And if it's good Rondo, it's good. If it's bad Rondo, it tastes bad. And I think that's kind of what, there's too much Rondo at the moment. And like I think it was the Portland game where just Rondo was awful and just throwing the ball away. He had a pretty good like first quarter or so. But then the rest was just awful. And he kind of has like enough flashy plays where I think the populace thinks he's good, like he's 6th in All-Star voting, but I don't think I think the Kings are better when Collison's playing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of frustrating, and I'm kind of worried that the Kings are going to re-sign him, and it's just going to be, I don't think he's good. I mean, and it's tough when the defense is to switch and you can't have him. He's not playing on point guard, so they're hiding him, and then he falls asleep off ball defense. So he's just an odd one, and it's maybe I just need to. I think he's been incredible in the fast break offense, though. So I mean, if the Kings can stop people from scoring, then their offense looks great. But then on made baskets, he's not like where Collison gets almost on made baskets to look like transition offense because he's so fast getting down the floor, whereas Rondo's slowing it down a bit more. Maybe that's to help DeMarcus as well, pace a bit more. But we're kind of going everywhere. Should we move on to the Toronto game? Some happy thoughts, or is there anything from the Minnesota one you want to touch on?
No, it's not with Minnesota, but just what you mentioned on Rondo is going to lead to a question I have for you later.
Okay. Can I guess what that question is?
You can.
Is it fire or cut Carl now?
No, it's not my question this week. I'll save it.
See, because I say that in relation to Rondo, because I don't think Carl's going to be the head coach next year.
He's not.
So then maybe you want to see what Rondo is either in the system you want to have next year, or just in not one where Carl is just blindly in love with veterans and will give them all the power. So that's kind of maybe one reason why you'd want to move on with Carl earlier than later. Just because it's by the sounds of things from a couple of reporters, the Kings are going to, and even DeMarcus himself, like the Kings are going to pay Rondo probably quite a lot of money and for a long period of time. And I kind of think that's going to be bad.
Yeah. As you're saying it, I'm just... But there's an easy solution.
Okay. Well, we'll wait until we finish the game then, because I guess it must be trade everyone. That's the only other outcome. Because that's the thing with the players are so tight that I don't think you could really trade anyone from like the core group. And the core group, I mean like Gay, Cousins, Caspi, Rondo, and I think even Macklemore, because I think Macklemore, Gay, Cousins are all pretty tight. And I think Collison is like a really good glue guy. So I think you don't want to break up that core, those 6 guys. And then I think everyone else around there is movable. So unless it is trade Gay, Rondo, and everyone, I don't know. But then you have to trade Boogie as well, and then you may as well trade Caspi. I don't know. It gets muddy. Anyway, the Kings won a game in the Raptors. Oh wait, did we miss the Washington game? Was the Washington game before this?
No, I think it was after.
Okay. I think the Raptors match up really well with the Kings, and it's partly because their offense is so slow. So then the Kings have plenty of time to get into to like realign. So this is one thing where we've seen the Kings struggle a lot against fast teams, and it's partly because they're not defending who's defending them. So when they miss a shot, everyone's running like across the court to to match up with who they're defending. So that leads to loads of like everyone in the paint and loads of open guys on the perimeter. So I think that's something we saw in Portland game early on, especially when they were just hitting all those open threes, because everyone would clog the paint and then have to try and find who they're guarding, because they can't defend, or they don't want Rondo defending point guards. And then point guards are happy to defend Rondo because it's pretty easy, unless he's getting to the basket, which I mean he's doing really well. So that's something where like I don't think we can really take much from the Toronto game, just because I think defensively it's one of the easier matchups for the Kings.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw that with the first game. The Raptors probably would have won that if they didn't put DeRozan in, because then he really slowed down the ball and became really ball dominant. DeRozan had a pretty great game, particularly that second quarter. He absolutely lit it up. But
and then you also had Kyle Lowry ejected.
Oh yeah, that was a huge help, because they were getting pretty close. Then the Kings kind of got away with it. And yeah, Corey Joseph, he's been really good, but I don't think he can really run on offense. So that kind of helped the Kings as well. I thought Macklemore had a really good game. This one, especially that first quarter, he was shooting the ball well. but then doesn't play the second half. I mean, yeah, it's just weird. It's like we may never see Ben McLemore play the end of a game. Maybe it's just like, if I just wonder if McLemore was playing like Bellinelli, what would he do to him? Because he's playing so much better than Marco Bellinelli.
If McLemore was playing like Bellinelli, we would wake up one morning and Ben McLemore would have disappeared.
Alright, so in this Raptors game, Ben played 19 minutes. He had a plus minus of 22. Bellinelli played 25 minutes. He was minus 15.
And guess who played the fourth quarter?
Oh, Marco, of course.
Yeah.
And as soon as Marco came out, +5 for the Kings. That end to end of the fourth quarter. And that's like going to like a Rondo Collison backcourt. Yeah, it's just frustrating. Marco, because Marco looks so good as well in preseason and was really fun. And I was always kind of worried, like some of the shots he was taking, but at least he was taking threes. Now he's just taking contested twos all the time, or like twos off floppy sets. And then not good looks, and he's not hitting them. I think this is going to be a recurring theme as we go through these games. Is just frustration with Marco and Carl to play him so much, and in the clutch. I think it must have been the Portland game where I think him and Gay were 3 for 14 or 3 for 16 going into the fourth quarter, and Carl brought on Bellinelli, or like kept Bellinelli in the fourth to try and chase a game. And it's like, why are you like using the guys that aren't hitting shots to try and catch a game up?
Because you got to get that veteran experience in there. Just helps so much.
And that game, Ben McLemore had one look and hit it. So it's like I'd like just give it to the guy that can shoot him. And maybe it's like there's times when they want Ben to take shots and he's not. But then maybe you play Ben more with the second unit where there isn't DeMarcus Cousins, Rudy Gay, Caspi at the moment, all wanting to take shots. Maybe you stagger the minutes more so Ben is playing more where Bellinelli's getting all these looks. You feature Ben then. I mean, McLemore's playing like 20 minutes. You can give him some more time, like play him for longer in the first half and just keep Bellinelli to the end if you need a gunner. And you'd rather have someone that has no conscience shooting and can get hot. But if you're not going to play Ben in the fourth, like play him more in the first half with the second unit and get him some looks and get him shooting, because he's shooting the ball really well. And I think he's playmaking well on the drive. That part of his game's expanded. His handle looks better. He still makes like the odd bad decision, but I think he's starting to like look more rounded as a player. So it's been interesting to see like kind of Twitter hate Ben McLemore. I think just Kings fans always need someone to complain about, but I mean, to me it'd be Marco more than Ben. I think Ben's actually had a pretty good year.
The idea of hating Ben McLemore and just letting Marco get it's baffling.
Yeah. There's some things that frustrate with me, Ben. Yeah. Ben, it's like he never looks like he's having fun, or like he just looks really serious. I don't know. So I think maybe he'd be better if he was just like looser and having fun. But and he's not dunking the ball as much this year. So I think he could go a bit more aggressive to the rim. He's like dunking in transition, but I'd like to see him dunk more when there's kind of bodies around. He's kind of going for more layups, which he's doing well, but I think he would have a better percentage a couple of times if he just went hard to the basket.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about before the year that we were hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the ball in his hands much. It's a shame. And CJ McCollum absolutely ruined Rondo.
It was abuse.
Yeah. We're getting a couple of games ahead though. Anything? Shall we move on to the Wizards game?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What did you think of that one? I mean, the Wizards were absolutely had no one. And Ramon Sessions had a good game. I mean, that shows if Ramon Sessions can score 15 points on your backcourt, there's an issue there.
Good old Garrett Temple and Oubre. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Obviously, the way Oubre's getting more looks than Ben McLemore. To me, that's just it's not like the Wizards have good coaching staff either. It's just and I mean, Gortat was just on fire. It felt like that first Clippers game where just and maybe it's a mentality thing, whereas after that first Clippers game, DeMarcus talked about, we were just giving them the mid-range shot. But I guess you need to maybe change the wording of that, and it's we'll let them have tough mid-range shots, whereas Gortat was just getting open mid-range shots, and he was hitting all of them. And then beating DeMarcus down the floor as well. So there'll be a big play by DeMarcus, and then the ball would be down the court, and Gortat would be getting an easy layup. And I guess that's kind of an issue of the pace as well. I don't think the Kings need to be the slowest team, but I think if you have a center that's struggling to get back on defense, maybe don't be the fastest team.
Yeah, there needs to be a balance.
Yeah. And maybe this is something there'll be a lot of articles saying how DeMarcus is an issue, but I think he's compromised a lot more this year than Carl has.
I think there's no doubt about that.
And a lot of people say him shooting threes is him being selfish, but I mean, if he wanted to shoot threes, he would have shot a ton of threes last year under Ty Corbin when no one gave a shit, and he didn't.
It's part of the Cole Carl thing that he's trying to.
Yeah, it's where he's got the ball all the time. And there's always this thing that sticks in my head that someone said about Josh Smith, and it was something along the lines of, the reason why Josh Smith takes lots of outside shots is because in his mind, if he has the ball in that spot and he's open, that's a shot the offense has created, and he's meant to take that shot. So he just hasn't worked out that it's a shot that someone else should take in the offense, but not him.
It's a shot that the opponent's giving to you because they want you to shoot it.
Yeah, it's the best of for DeMarcus. I think it's a best of a bad world. And I think we're seeing him take some worse 3-pointers than he was early in the year. Kind of bad times of the game. And so a few more where they're contested, where you'd probably rather him take someone off the dribble. But then I thought the Magic game a couple of weeks ago, when he was matched up on Aaron Gordon, that was a time when he was trying to take Aaron Gordon off the dribble, when really he should have posted him up as well. So there's kind of I think there's some kind of mental mistakes and matchups as well that we've seen. But I thought this was a really disappointing game to let Gortat go off like that. And we saw Kufos and Cousins play quite a bit together in this game. And Kufos didn't play much, or at least in the first half or first quarter, and that didn't go that well.
Yeah.
So I think Kufos played 18 minutes. It's don't have 6 of those with Boogie on the floor, spell Boogie more. But oh well.
And the other issue we ran into, and so again, this is something we've talked about in the past. Fourth quarter, 8-0 run and a 17-4 run for Washington. It's just.
Oh, there's a great stat out there. I think the Kings are now. I think they've led the last 2 games and lost them, so they're now 10-2 when they're leading a game at the half, they haven't won a single game when they're down at the break.
Not surprising.
And I think most of those times they've been in the lead, they would have been up by like 8 or something. And to me, it's basically like the sign of whether the Kings are going to win or not. It's like if they're up 8, they've got a chance. Because just the fourth quarter, they're giving up points. And they never feel like they can catch up. Or if they catch up, they're like gassed and then they can't contain it, or the other team's can push another gear, which is quite normal. But yeah, the fourth quarter went away quickly after the Kings got it back close in the third.
Yep.
And was this the game where Rudy was pretty good this game? Who's bad? I can't really recall. I think it just wasn't that great. Cron Butler played 6 minutes. I don't know why the hell that's happening.
Well, because he can't be traded yet.
I think he can now.
Well, no, it's as it was reported this morning that the trade to Milwaukee is at a standstill.
Okay. So and yeah, maybe every second you play him, his value gets worse. I mean, he'll just be a second rounder or something you're trading for him, because he is under contract for 2 years, so not exactly desirable.
Yeah. On to the next game.
So I guess this was kind of a fun game. The Pacers won. Got pretty stressful at the end. And the beginning of that third quarter was awful. What was your thoughts on this one? I guess Rudy had a good game. DeMarcus was pretty fun of that first half, at least.
Yeah, I mean, with that third quarter run, well, at least it was in the third quarter this time. But I'm going to continue to be problems. Rudy was good, although with Rudy, because the second there's a good game, a bad one's coming around the corner.
It didn't feel like this last year, though. He was really consistent last year.
He was.
And maybe he looks a step slower defensively. I thought this was his best defensive game. And this is something I think in the Wizards game this kind of showed up. He's like, if Gay is defending an all-star, he's going to play well. If not, he's kind of just turned off.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. That's a really big issue. And that maybe explains why the Kings are beating better teams, because they have most good teams have a standout wing, so then Rudy gets his game up.
Where do you think that comes from, though? Is it just because even last year it didn't seem to be that way as much?
Well, I guess last year they weren't switching as much, so he wasn't out of position. You're not having to recover as much, and he wouldn't have been on as many guards who can blow by him. So that I think that would be one part of it. It's when Gaze look bad, it's when guards have been blowing past him. So that wouldn't have happened as much last year, just because the scheme wasn't that way. So I think that is probably a factor, but that's probably the biggest factor, because that's the times where Gay looks bad is either closing out on 3-point shooters, he just looks lethargic, and then getting blown by guys, and so maybe he's lost a step as well. I mean, it's generally the peak of an NBA player is 29, so he's at the end of that peak now, so maybe he's just lost a step, or not that healthy. I mean, he's playing pretty big minutes. Yeah, so or maybe it's just a mentality thing where it's okay, I'm on a good team now. I'm people make up for me. There's veterans around. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's pretty worrying. I think maybe it's probably just the scheme-wise things where it's you're trying to recover more, or you're worried about the matchup more so.
Yeah. Okay. And just to ask, just for fun, do you wish the Kings would have signed Monte Ellis?
Oh no. Yeah, he's.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a good game, but I mean, I guess. See, he's. I mean, I was about to say you couldn't switch with him, but I mean we're switching with Rondo and Collison, and Marco at the 3, so Carl would do it. Carl would probably play him at the 3. So yeah, I don't know. I think Vlade even said that they never offered Monte Ellis. That was like one of the made up ones, because I think agents were just using the Kings for everything. So it was Wes Matthews was like the only, and Bargnani were the only two they missed out on that they actually went for. I think Vlade's pretty trustworthy with what he says.
Yeah.
Considering like everything he came out with about the DeMarcus and Carl stuff, he was so honest about that. I don't think why he would lie about anything else. But I think this is a good win. I guess this like shows the ceiling, and like the Pacers play at pretty high tempo, but they just don't have the bigs to stick with Boogie. I think that was kind of like the defining part of this game, especially that second quarter where Boogie just took over. Have you got anything on this one that you thought was interesting? I think maybe it helps they're really small with like Paul George playing at the 4. That kind of helps the Kings as well. They don't have because George is playing at the 4, so Gay or Caspi can kind of match him. They don't have another wing that when you're playing small with. I mean, Ben McLemore didn't really play in this game, but if you have Bellinelli or Collison at the 2 or 3, they don't really have someone that's going to beat you off the dribble. They're all just kind of spotting up. So maybe that kind of helps as well.
I mean, like as you said, because I mean, this team is largely George, CJ Miles, Grant Hill, Mahimi, and Monte Ellis. That's pretty much all. So I mean, they didn't really have the size match up with the Boogie. It's just I don't know. It's a good one to see, considering where Indiana is. But
so Trailblazers game was. I think we've kind of already talked about it. It's just CJ McCollum blew up, and Crabbe was okay. This game, the Kings just got ridiculously rebounded, and I guess that's another issue with like the position Cousins is on the court. He could just get points anywhere, but he didn't really get it. He got 6 rebounds, and that's kind of an issue. Do you have any thoughts from this game? I mean, this was like a really disappointing loss in my mind.
It was. I mean, there's plenty of examples with it, but this is a game where there was no Damian Lillard. Portland's a bad team. There's no reason you should be losing to them, and the Kings found a way to lose. It's unacceptable.
Costa Kufus, I don't know why you go to a big like the 2 center lineup here, but they did in the first quarter again, -6. They were up 8 before that lineup came in. So I think looking at those kind of but I think that was when I watched the game, that was okay, this is not working, and it took 2.5 minutes to work that out. I mean, it's when you're playing Vonleh, who can, he's not really a threat, and Plumlee isn't, but they still created enough space and got them moving around. Miles Leonard I think he just kept hitting shots, and Kufos couldn't guard him at all, and he really made that little spell get Portland back in it.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, it's just Kufos and Marcos. So Kings had a 22 run. In come Kufos and Bellinelli. It's like a -7. You go on to the fourth quarter. Kings go on a run. Who comes back in the game? Marco and Kufos, and another run ends.
Yeah, they're definitely hurting. And it's not because, I don't think it's just because of them. I think it's the way in which they're featured when they come on. They're almost being used as finishers, instant offense, but the best plays Marco makes is when he's passing and creating, and then, I mean, we really haven't seen him just standing on the perimeter and taking catch and shoot jumpers. Everything's coming off motion, but with motion where he's the only guy in motion, and that's just, yeah, it's not fun. It's not really that fun to watch. It's just like so slow moving. I just think that the half-court offense has been really ugly. The transition's been beautiful, and the half-court's been ugly, which is, when you have a low post center, it's like, it shouldn't be that hard to you have a point guard try and enter a pass into the post, and you have guys moving around the perimeter. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. And that's obviously teams are trying to take away that post entry, but that's why you have the motions and movement, dribble handoffs, pick and rolls to get that in there. But yeah, I was pissed off with this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't working, but continue to be done.
Yeah. One thing that's working is Caspi being the greatest shooter alive. And that happened in the Golden State, that like last 3 minutes of the Golden State Warriors second half. Well, let's just pretend that was the end of the game, because that was just joyous. And then it was all downhill from then on. Yeah, I mean, Caspi was just pure fire. That was so much fun.
That Caspi Curry back and forth was just, it was basketball porn. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think that's like the most mental thing I've watched since the Clay half or quarter. It just kind of felt like that, where it's just like, you didn't, like, even like they were trying to show replays, and then someone else was like, the ball's in the air going down into the bucket already. It was pretty insane. I think one issue, I think they played Caspi way too much in the third. He looked really gassed. I mean, and this is something I don't think we've really talked about, Carl and his back-to-back rotations. So I think they had like, maybe it was an I think it was 8-man rotation with Portland, with just Seth Curry playing. Seth, Marco, DC, and Kufos. So a 9-man rotation. And then they went to a couple more people because Kufos was out. So AC played, Steph Curry played, James Anderson played. He's still bad. So I don't know why we need to see him play again. He was just awful. Hopefully that's just trying to trade him. I don't know.
Someone wants him?
James Anderson played more than Ben McLemore.
Oh, God. Why do you hurt me?
That's just like the frustrating thing. It's like there's no... Yeah, it's just ridiculous. No commitment to anything.
If you swapped Bellinelli and Ben's ages, Ben's playing like 40 minutes a game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And Marco's in Cuba or something. I don't know. It's just
Reno.
Yeah.
I don't think we really need to talk about the end of this game.
Yeah.
I mean, the Golden State Warriors are good.
Yeah.
I don't think of people that are saying like the Kings lost it because Boogie got the technical. I mean, he didn't really play that. And he didn't really play much anyway in the first half because he got in foul trouble. Maybe one of the reasons why the Kings got back in the first quarter, the first half, is because Rondo wasn't on the floor. And I think we've seen that, like, the Kings have played their best when Rondo's not playing. But yeah, I mean, Golden State Warriors are really good, and we're going to have to play them again in a couple of weeks, so that'll be another fun game.
Yeah.
God. And we've got the Thunder and Spurs. I mean, the West is just brutal.
Good news is the bottom of the West is a pit of...
Well, the Suns are going to be completely out. Shall we move on to that then?
Yeah,
like the kind of teams around them. So the Suns, do you think they're completely out of it now with Bledsoe being out?
they're dead. They're dead in the
Like,
Hornacek is a dead man walking. Suns are dead.
yeah, they didn't re-up his contract, so he's probably gone. So maybe he'll be a guy the Kings could go after as a coach. Trade
Yes,
for
you have
Bledsoe.
them. Oh my God, Boogie would be so happy.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. Yeah, I know what we'll do now. Yeah,
Rondo and Gay for Markeith and Bledsoe.
sure. Let's do it. Let's make Boogie happy and make me happy. That would be so much fun.
I guess that might make Boogie a bit unhappy losing Rondo, but I think getting Bledsoe would make up for it.
I think he loves Bledsoe.
Yeah, he voted for him for NBA ballot. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, he obviously thinks he's good enough to make an All-Star game. So that's good enough. Who else is around the Pelicans? Do you think that they've done enough? They're kind of similar to the Kings, going on like 500 spell. Do you think they've got enough to catch up, or do you think they're? I mean, they have to be like perfect almost. Yeah. To catch up.
I mean, I think as you said, that'd be perfect. Now, I don't know. I kind of always feel like that big Anthony Davis injury is coming.
Yeah. And then like Tyreek and Drew Holiday, even Ryan Anderson, whether they trade him, or Eric Gordon, with them both being free agents. So I guess there's like lots of moving parts, and if they're like not close by All-Star break, maybe they feel they have to make a trade to try and get rid of like one of those center contracts that are awful.
Yeah, I mean, so like for the 8th seed, we're talking about Utah, who, I mean, they're still hurting. I think it won't hurt them.
With Gobert missing, Gobert hurts them a lot. Burks is out now.
Out. Burks is out for like 6 weeks. Portland is not good. So, I mean, of Portland, Denver, Sacramento's the best team.
Yeah, when Denver get Moutier back, they're going to start losing again.
Yep.
And that's kind of funny how people are kind of starting to walk back the Moutier is great train. I mean, I think he'll be like good, but I think this kind of shows why the Kings were maybe right not to pick him with the off-season ideology of like trying to win now. Moutier is opposite of that.
Ready.
Yeah. But maybe with having Collison and you have Collison start, maybe that works. So maybe it would have worked. I mean,
Carl wouldn't have played him a minute.
No. Yeah. I mean, he may have. But yeah, it would have been interesting. And then I guess you'd have to maybe get Tyson Chandler instead of Rondo in free agency. Maybe that's how you do it, something like that. Although he's not playing very well. He's been one issue for the Suns as well. Do you think Mavs have got enough to stay up there? Because I think even the Mavericks and the Rockets, they're two teams that could like fall back down, so it might not just be a race for the 8th seed.
Yeah, I mean, because like as sad as it can get at times, like 5, 6, 7, 8 seed is it's scrap. Throw stuff in there. I mean, Kings get hot, they're going to be in the 7th seed next week or 6th seed next week.
Oh, should we talk about so they got the 76ers next. I mean, they have to win that. I guess there's some kind of speculation Boogie might get suspended. I mean, if he gets suspended against the Sixers, that doesn't really make a difference. Then Bledsoe-less Suns, you would expect that to be a win. Then at Thunder, at Dallas, if they can get one win out of those two, I think you'll be happy. And then Lakers, you'd expect them to win that. Then Warriors, Pelicans, so probably getting a loss to the Warriors. Then maybe you beat the Pelicans. Then they have the Jazz, Pelicans, Jazz, Clippers. Like you want to go 2-1 in that spell. And
like
then
looking
Lakers,
at their next 10 games, wins against Phoenix, wins against Philly, Phoenix, Dallas, Lakers, Pelicans, Jazz, Lakers again. I mean, that's you go with that stretch, you're in the 7th, 6th seed.
Yeah, so you want to go like 7-3. You think that's kind of what they need to do? And then they'll be almost at 500, wouldn't they?
And actually, I think because Clippers are going to be without Blake Griffin for,
Oh yeah.
so they may not have that 16th game.
And
So
they're not playing great.
No, they're not. The bench is horrific.
And that's a great point because Blake Griffin is really what's killed the Kings those first 2 games early in the year.
Yeah.
So that's a really great point.
I mean,
they did pretty well being able to take away the lob to DeAndre, and maybe and there's just like Chris Paul versus the Kings. I think you're going to take the Kings.
Yeah.
So if they can go 8 wins, that'd be great.
I'm not going to say like I was kind of pessimistic, but looking at the schedule, I'm feeling good. Like
the Kings have the 3rd easiest strength of schedule to end the year from now onwards, and I think they had the 2nd hardest to start the year, and that was a week or so ago.
And I think the team with the 1st or 2nd easiest was Phoenix, and they're out of the picture now for at least. So yeah.
So yeah, it should be. There's some optimism. So what was my correct guess on the Carl? What was your actual?
Well, I mean, this was before my optimism looking at the schedule, but let's say things go badly. Because we talk about Rondo, how I mean, at times, especially given how Carl's using him, he's hurting the Kings at times more than helping them. Would you? I mean, considering that he may be looking for a big contract, the Kings may give it to him. Would you consider trading Rudy Gay, even without Rondo, just getting what you can for Rudy Gay, and then letting Rondo walk?
I don't think you can let Rondo walk because of what he means to Cousins. So unless you're getting Bledsoe in the trade, or I don't know, John Wall, or like you literally need to get a younger point guard that Boogie loves.
What if you got rid of Carl as part of it?
I still think the issue is like DeMarcus is enjoying playing with Rondo, so you need to find something that is giving Boogie a reason of hope. So that's kind of my issue. I think if you just, I mean, it's frustrating Gay like not taking open threes. So maybe you just need to tell him to like stop driving and just be a spot up shooter like Caspi is. It's like if Gay just played like Caspi, it would be perfect. And maybe it's just his shot's not going down. So whereas like in preseason, he was knocking down threes, he's just not hitting them at the moment. So maybe that's just a confidence issue, and it'll come back. But I just don't think you can. I don't think you can trade Rondo because you can't trade Gay because that pisses off Rondo, and you kind of have to have Rondo in the long-term plans because of the way DeMarcus feels about him. And it's I thought it was interesting. James Ham thought the Rondo comments, the like suspension, homophobia, will lose him money in contract extension. So maybe that could help the Kings and just having a little bit more cap flexibility. But I mean, they're not going to be. They're pretty set in terms of roster for next year, with only Rondo being the only free agent. So then, and I mean, they're not really going to be a huge free agent destination. Maybe they get Ryan Anderson for like a hometown thing. So maybe that's the only like realistic free agent. So, but yeah, I mean, James Hand was like talking about 15 million a year for Rondo, which I think is way too much. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Should we talk about potential head coaches?
Yeah.
Or
for that?
I guess it's like Iski is like, is it Iski? The assistant is maybe the most obvious. And it's like Vlade's been pretty loyal to people that he trusts, and like I think most people thought he would just completely clean house, where he didn't really do so as much. He just got rid of that analytics guy who's a Pete D'Alessandro guy, and everyone else kind of stayed. So I think that surprised some people. So do you think he would stay in-house with the guy like Kyle's trying to mentor?
I think part of it will be finding out Boogie's relationship with him. Yeah, Chad Iskey. And just real quickly, because there's going to be rumors about it, it's not going to be John Calipari. I think you can safely put that away.
It won't be.
I don't know who else is out there. And that's the one thing about this is trying to figure out potential coaching candidates.
Do you think D'Antoni's going to take over the Sixers job full time?
It depends what Jerry Colangelo wants. I think he might give him, because I think it was D'Antoni who was really pushing for the Ish Smith trade. So,
because then Brett Brown would be a pretty good candidate. I think he's made like this, at least the last 2 years before this year, he made like the best out of that bad team. Like, to get that team not to be the worst team in the league 2 years running is a pretty good job. I guess we've already talked about like the Suns maybe. Moving on from Hornacek, so that could be interesting. Who could be really good, although he's been linked with the job with Minnesota, is Dave, is it Joga? The Grizzlies coach. Because then obviously he's used to creating an offense around low post play, and the Kings, like, it's interesting, it's like always the talk about DeMarcus Cousins has been the lack of shooting around him. This year, like, the Kings will have the 5th best 3-point shooting percentage, but now they don't have DeMarcus Cousins playing in the post. So maybe that would be like the perfect blend where Memphis have never been able to get the 3-point shooting, but they've always had the post play. So then you've kind of got the roster full of 3-point shooting and like a Marc Gasol-esque style player in Boogie. They kind of have similar games, I'd say, offensively. So maybe that could be like an interesting move. I think Minnesota did try, although he was rumored quite a bit a couple of years ago. So maybe that's where he's more likely to end up. But I think that would be like a nice hire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also, you actually got another guy like Ryan Anderson with that. I think the pieces are in place where, and you're going to have a new, I mean, it's not as much of a self-coach, but you're going to have a new arena. So.
If you get Ryan Anderson, do you move Kufos?
Yes.
Or do you move Willie Cauley-Stein?
Well, because you're going to get a lot more for Cauley-Stein. Will Kufos want to be here if Carl's gone?
Yeah, I don't see why not. He seems to. I mean, it depends on his role as well. But I mean, if Dave Yoga came, obviously he played with the Grizzlies as well, so he'll be used to that role, and he'll just be a straight up backup for DeMarcus then.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not exactly playing huge minutes for Carl. So that's kind of the interesting thing. Like, Kufos is playing similar minutes to Willie Cauley-Stein because they've just gotten a lot smaller, and that's really hurting on the offensive boards. On the board, so I think that Portland game, the Kings had 3 offensive boards, and one of them was by Darren Collison. So they're really struggling on the boards. And
like, because looking into Jorger right now, I mean, I'm very intrigued.
I think he would probably rather take that Minnesota job, though. It's a bit more stable, good young core, assets to move as well. But you never know; they might go a different direction. Do you think? Do you think the Timberwolves are a challenge for the 8th seed?
I don't know if that young nucleus can come together. I think.
As long as they don't play Levine at point guard, I think they might be around there. If they keep playing the Kings, they will. If they play the Kings 20 times.
Hey, if the Kings can just play Toronto and the Lakers, I'm ready to go. We're good.
Yeah, they need to play them all the time.
Yeah. 41 games each.
That'll be fun. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
I think we mentioned it briefly, but like there was some talk about Boogie Cousins getting suspended. Looking at the replay thing, I don't think that's going to happen at all, unless he says
no. It wasn't like the kids incident where.
No, I don't know who said.
It wasn't like malice or anything. I don't know.
I don't know who said today, but someone said because he didn't leave in a timely manner. I think maybe.
Oh, he walked off really. Like I thought he walked off without a hassle at all.
Yeah. So.
It's like Draymond Green was during more when he got his technical than Boogie did. Just Boogie was like more like physical with his anguish at the call.
Yeah. Oh, we do have breaking news.
Oh, what's that?
Per multiple sources, Boston has interest in DeMarcus Cousins. You won't hear this anywhere else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Groundbreaking stuff.
Surprising.
Here.
Team without great player would like great player.
I know. Bill Simmons is stunned. But he's not going to get involved with any crazy trade ideas. He said that's beneath him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Is like there's all these people saying that you can't win with DeMarcus Cousins, but then are happy to put together like a couple of crap draft picks to put them on their team.
Did you see? Just this is off tangent, but Bill Simmons' idea for a trade for Jabari Parker?
No, was it like all the Celtics picks?
It was Jared Sullinger, and he wanted to protect the Nets pick, top 3.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you support a team, obviously you want your team to get a really good deal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the whole point. At least he's not like, at least he's opaque with his bias.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to trade. Maybe we could do Rudy Gay for Giannis and Jabari and Middleton.
That would be,
I'm sure the salaries work on that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you drop Jabari, just go Giannis and Middleton.
And I think we'll even figure something out where, maybe they send another guy, we'll give them and we want them to be good too. So Marco, because they need shooting. To help them out.
Everyone needs shooting.
Yeah.
Oh God, I hate Marco. Literally hate Marco. It's like him, Rondo getting backdoor cuts, like beaten backdoor so many times. So stupid. And it's not like they're going to do anything helping. I mean, Rondo at least gets some steals helping, but it's like as much as Rondo's getting assists, he's giving the team points as easy. So that's just kind of my issue at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully we'll be happier next week.
Hopefully. I mean, and best case scenario, we could be very happy in doing a post. As we talked about, hopefully next week we're actually doing a post-game recap.
Oh yeah, so that it's an early game on Tuesday, so be able to have some fresh thoughts on the game. So that'd be nice instead of trying to recall things. Hopefully that's uneventful week because that means the Kings will win. And there's been some it's just after every loss, it feels like the team itself just sort of killing themselves after the game. So maybe they need to worry less about losses almost.
Although I will say, Rudy Gay doesn't seem too concerned.
Maybe not, but then maybe that's maybe that kind of helps to have one person that's kind of
Yeah.
level-headed. Because if everyone's like Caspi or DeMarcus and literally tearing their head off after every loss, like you're just going to be emotionally drained.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Should we call it a night then?
Yeah. I think. Yeah. So.
Or is there any other head coach?
Head coach.
I think Dave Yoga. I need to learn how to pronounce his name.
I mean, you mentioned
Jaeger. I don't know.
You mentioned Brown. I mean, because he does come from the Spurs coaching tree. Spurs tree. So I don't know.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the move some would say you just hired a coach who won like 10 games, but whatever.
But I mean, just to win 10 games of that roster is impressive.
Yeah. Oh god, that roster's bad.
Yeah. And who would have thought adding Nick Stauskas makes things worse? Yeah. What a world we live in. Jason Thompson is bad and has played the most games for the Kings. Ray McCallum is in the D-League, and Nick Stauskas has made the Sixers worse.
And Kirk Cousins won the NFC East.
But it's all DeMarcus Cousins' fault.
Yep. Such a thug. Such a thug, DeMarcus Cousins.
The power forward he's been playing for 5 years can't even get off the bench for the Warriors. But it's all DeMarcus Cousins. You just can't win with him.
Well, have you ever noticed that the players who leave the Kings go on to be on playoff teams? Now, granted, it doesn't matter that they're the 12th man off the bench. They were on playoff teams, so
they're on them. They don't play for them.
Yeah,
they're on them.
Oh, that was a fun radio take. Oh, God, that was
fun. They just learn how to win once they leave. It's by not playing.
And they're just so gritty with their team winning stuff, and they learned that from not being with DeMarcus coming off the bench.
How's whatever the D-League team the Spurs have doing? Is Ray McCallum leading them to victories?
Oh, he's probably putting up like crazy numbers that's going to make the Kings look bad in the D.
I mean, Summer League. When DeMarcus didn't play for the Kings on the Summer League team, the Kings won then.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, as Grant Napier said a few years ago, the Kings are better off without DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then he got pissed at me for calling him out on it, but that's cool.
The Kings have won one game without DeMarcus Cousins this year.
Yeah, and previous years when they had Jason Thompson and all that, they were just so better off without him.
I've got a feeling the Kings are maybe better with DeMarcus Cousins. Just going to throw it out there. My hot take.
That's a hot take, but I mean, I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
We do have Ray McCallum's stats, and I know you're excited about this. All right, so in 5 games when he's playing nearly 40 minutes a night, 18 points. He's making 6 of 15 field goals. And he's averaging 4 rebounds a game, so there you go.
Any assists or?
Assists, yeah, he's averaging. Oh, there you go. He's averaging 4.8 assists a night in 5 games. So
playing 40 minutes. Whoa. Okay. And he's obviously, I mean, if he learns how to shoot, he can maybe be a backup. But
yep.
I don't know if he'll ever will.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do want to thank people for listening to the Sac Off podcast. We had many things to say today, but if you're a Kings fan who listened today, I just hope that one thing you took away was that there's actually a reason to be optimistic. I mean, the upcoming schedule is easy, and the Kings could go 7-3-8-2 over the next 10 games. If they don't, I'm sorry, I'll take full responsibility.
And I guess it's just like no one in the West, like no one's running away with the 8th seed. So I think no one's like even on a better than 500 run around us. So
all those years we were laughing at the Eastern Conference. Now Now it's come.
Well, I think part of why no one's running away with the 8th seed is that the three best teams are the top three in the West, so they're destroying everyone in the middle of the West. So that does, I mean, like the Kings are going to play probably like 5 or 6 of their games against the Warriors, Spurs, the Clippers when they were good those first 3 weeks, and the Thunder. It's like, so you like they'd be 500 if they didn't play those incredible teams.
Yeah.
So that kind of hurts. But hey, got bloody Thunder Warriors again. We don't play them again after this, right? We've only got one more.
No, I don't. I think that would be kind of because they've played them like almost four times now.
Okay, hopefully once more. God, it's just demoralizing. But we haven't played the Spurs that much, so.
Well, you win some. Hey, I actually feel more optimistic about the Spurs because what's going to happen is we're going to face the Spurs. They're coming off a back-to-back. Pop will rest everyone. It's going to be all good.
Pop sometimes rests before the beginning of a back-to-back instead. So you never know. You never know when they may rest. And Kawhi Leonard is just a beast.
Yeah. Yeah, so looking at the schedule season real quickly, I mean, you got San Antonio twice and Warriors once more.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah. So
it gets easier.
Yep.
That's probably why the schedule is so much easier than not playing the Golden State Warriors much.
Yeah. And the good news is when we play San Antonio, this is just looking ahead. Tuesday, February 23rd at Denver. The next day we play versus San Antonio on ESPN.
Oh, so that'd be fun.
Yep.
Okay, King's good in prime time? I can't even remember. Oh, on TV.
Yeah.
I can never really tell because I just all watch everything on League Pass. It's all the same.
Yep. League Pass is amazing.
With that unofficial sponsor.
League Pass, if you want to sponsor us at some point, let us know. We'll take it.
Because you're really expensive. League Pass, it's really expensive, but kind of useful.
Yes, League Pass keeps me employed, so thank you, League Pass.
All right, well.
Yep, thank you for listening to the Sac Off podcast.
Goodbye.